Hi, people of the internet. This is, or the following video we are about to see is an excerpt from a talk me and my friend Colin Treiber, a very good friend of mine, who's an exceptional thinker and unbelievable philosopher in my mind. And it's a talk we had about the current situation in the world, the astrological effects of that situation, and quite possibly what is to come in 2021, well, as well as 2020. So I hope you enjoy this, and I hope you get something out of this talk, and I will see you soon.
This whole situation and like not just the surface, but like the deep meaning with it. Have you? What are your thoughts on it? Like what's really happening right now?
Well, for me, I think there's one main thing that is happening. Knowing the other astrological, let's say, um, influences, there's going to be starting from 2021. I think we'll start seeing, not of course at first, it won't manifest immediately, but there's going to be more power, let's say more power to the people, more power to the masses, let's put it that way. um, More power, let's say, divided.
Is that Uranus?
Uranus plays a part, I would say, but one of the most important things is the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, in air sign, in Aquarius, which is actually the masses, which is, what Aquarius is, Aquarius is big systems, big groups, large networks of people. It's a lot to do with, equality. Aquarius is actually like all about not balancing, that's Libra, but equality. So that means in all areas. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's going to be equal, and they're not always obviously equal. But Uranus is kind of, how to put this now? To me, kind of understand there are leaders in systems, in a certain kind of way, but it also understand that everybody is kind of the same. Although you might have different qualities and things, there is an understanding of you're part of the group kind of thing. And actually everything is connected for Aquarius, or in Aquarius, let's say. It's connected systems. So now, when we think about Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, which is Saturn is also, it kind of is the masses, but it's also the common people. So now we're putting together all of these energies, and Jupiter, which is also, Jupiter is expansive, it expands, it brings benevolent good things, it brings, let's say, spiritual wisdom, it brings, fortune. Now, if you start building these things together, and with Saturn moving away from Pluto, and again, Pluto is, hidden dark power, and, illness, it's crisis, it's transformation. If you start taking that away from that, you start seeing that you start actually, for me, it's liberation that I start seeing there. And liberation from control and power. And also, Saturn is government. And when you put those again together, and we put them in Aquarius, it's a bit of a, for me, it's kind of like governments will start seeing things more equally, let's put it that way, or more distributively. And, you know, then Jupiter comes in, expands it all. Obviously, there are negatives to it because, you know, Aquarius is very mind oriented. So it's only the mind, only technology, and you know, very technologically oriented. So there's dangers there, but I do see that there's a liberation coming, and this, like right now, is like the ultimate. You know, it's literally the ultimate. It's for me, it's an ultimate act of control and power and suppression by the governments, actually. And, you know, the governments, meaning the people who are actually controlling the governments.
Yeah. Hey, how many years till Pluto is squared with Saturn?
By
Maybe like 9 years. If it takes 18 years to get to opposition.
think about 9. I think 9 years.
So I got it.
But there's a sextile, but there's a sextile in between those as well.
Interesting. Yeah. Hear this though. So there was a psychic. I don't remember her name. I'll have to ask my friend. He told me about this psychic that predicted like 20, 30 years ago exactly what's happening right now on this year.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Also, it was a woman. She also predicted 10 years later the virus would return.
Yeah.
And do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
If that is true, it again, like she didn't say it's because Pluto. She was psychic. She wasn't. She didn't have spiritual understanding.
Oh yes, I've read about. Yes.
If it's correct, our theory that we're talking about here, that Pluto is this bringer of this conflictual energy, then in 10 years when it's in square, another conflicting energy, it makes perfect sense that this virus could be the way it imposes that energy again. That makes sense?
It does. A lot of sense. For me, astrologically, you know, especially.
Yeah. Because I was trying to understand 10 years. Why would it be 10 years? Why? And it just dawned on me as you were talking. So now I understand this theory that we're coming up with and working towards potentially could benefit humankind.
I think so.
Predict these sorts of things logically, not through psychic, you know, not through prophecy, but through logic, through actually, and it's not really logic, it's spiritual understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, logic isn't the right word.
Just in my mind, it's like these things have existed, you know. I just hope it does something, you know, that we can.
But so yeah, I mean that's kind of what you were saying. Now back to what you were saying, that starting next year, Jupiter is going to be influencing, and Aquarius is going to be influencing, and Saturn is broken free from Pluto's grips. So starting next year, it could be some positive effects on governments and governing organizations and bodies.
For sure, there will be, and I think a lot of it will be fueled by this. What's actually happening right now, because this crisis and transformation will actually pave the way for this.
So my concern, and this is really where my thoughts have been probably going most often and with this scenario, is like the future, what's going to be put in motion because of this once we start to recover, I think is greater control over people. And that doesn't even necessarily have to be government imposed. It could be popular opinion. And so my concern is what seems like good, you know what I mean? Like good in the sense, oh, it's popularly accepted that now the ruling bodies aren't these dictators, there are these people. I'm not convinced that just because a bunch of people, human beings that are seemingly more ordinary and more altruistic, because they're in power, that it's really going to lead us the right direction. So, for example, what if it becomes wildly popular to force vaccinate everyone for COVID-19? And so that's something that is agreed upon by everyone, pretty much everyone.
That's a possibility, actually. That's a good point.
Oh yeah, this is very likely going to happen, and this is something that could be seen by the majority of people as a good thing, as a responsible thing.
It will
but
be.
the implications of that are massive,
Yes.
are absolutely massive, and it's precedent. It's setting a precedent for the next time something like this happens, even greater imposition against the free will of human beings. And so all these choices that are going to be decided upon by governing agencies, whether it's a government or a group of popular people, I think they're going to keep going the direction of denying freedom. And they're going to do it out of seemingly altruistic purposes.
That's Aquarius. That's Aquarius.
Exactly. So
Altruism.
They're going to do this out of what appears to be altruism. But they don't, this is the problem. We don't understand the true nature of a human being. And so we're imposing things onto ourselves that don't honor what we are or where we're going. We don't honor both.
So,
altruism is pointless. Altruism means nothing anymore because human beings don't know what we are meant to accomplish. That makes sense.
It does. But like I do agree with everything you said, actually. Exactly. 100%. There's one but or addition here, because that's where I think Jupiter can help us out. And that's the part, because a lot of what Jupiter is like, let's say, that true path, or like the at least the wisdom for that path. So at one hand, it does expand all of that Aquarian energy of like, let's vaccinate and science and blah blah blah. It will start to enforce and expand that, especially if Saturn is there again. Now, if you start, Saturn is structures, it's restrictions that are put on us, and if it's the common people, then let's say it will be, let's say, forced on us, and Saturn or Jupiter can expand that. But now, if we use that energy, so it's, for me, it's always how we use that energy. If we use Jupiter's energy, it's a very, spiritual, high-minded, high wisdom type energy. If you use that to understand that situation for what it really is, and there's just the spiritual implications and the spiritual understanding behind everything, maybe, or even like starting to see things from a bigger picture and starting to see life and death from a bigger picture, which is Jupiter is the bigger picture, then I think it can help. But like you said, all of those things you said, I think will happen if we don't use that energy in a different way here,
Yes, it requires us continuing to slow down. I think it's what I believe is, like, we're slowing down right now. This is the teaching of this moment, is we have to slow down. And once this passes, if we just go right back to the same speed again, we're going to continue on the same path. Our velocity of evolution is very important to pay attention to. So something that we need to realize is that we have to slow down our velocity of movement through life, through evolution. And I think Jupiter, if we do that, we will receive Jupiter's teaching, perhaps. If we don't do that, if we just pick right back up to the same speed, we will implement things that Jupiter's wisdom and influence might not have anything to do with. Because part of what Jupiter represents, in my understanding, is evolution, destiny, in a sense.
Exactly, destiny.
It represents the future. And so if in order to see that, to see destiny, we have to stop. We have to come to a common agreement on what that destiny is, for one.
Hmm. I think it will give. I think it will give the opportunity for humans to at least see. At least the energy will be there to be able to see, the bigger picture, the true path to what's happening, and maybe make changes. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, don't doubt that at all. I'm just concerned that there's not enough human beings that will accept that opportunity.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Because it's not just accepting it, it's doing the work that it requires to accept that opportunity, which is difficult work. You know what I mean? Like, just because a planet is in a position of influence and we're able to receive it doesn't mean we're automatically going to receive it. We actually have to orient our whole being in a certain way in order to receive it. And then we have to actually express it as well in order to influence the world. So there's a lot to it. I don't think astrology is going to, let's put it this way. The positive aspects of astrology require human intervention. The negative ones do not. The negative aspects of astrology will unfold on their own, whether we decide to do anything or not. The positive aspects will only unfold through our work.
I'm still a little hesitant with the first statement, because in my mind there is a chance that the negative ones at the very least have, or there is I think, and I believe, and I've seen some luck or headway in my own life with guiding the negative ones in a certain kind of way. If you do your best to guide those into a positive manifestation of those things, it can be done, but it's really hard, I think.
I see. But yeah, I think you're adding to what I said.
Yes.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, the negative effects will happen whether we want them to or not, but we do participate with them. Where the positive effects,
Yes.
the positive effects, well, it's the same. They happen whether we want them to or not, but there's a lot less. We have to participate with those consciously.
Yes, exactly.
The negative effects we participate with unconsciously.
And we would have to, for us to mitigate those, would have to do it consciously as well.
Exactly. So it's all about consciously meeting these effects, these influences. And that's difficult because no one really understands this, what we're talking about.
No.
No one really understands that we're far more than what we claim to be. The human being is so much more than what we commonly accept right now.
Yeah, hopefully this will come or become more clear after 2021.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I haven't checked all the aspects with Uranus. Where's Uranus? Taurus. So Uranus is in Taurus. How many sides is that now?
Earthly expansiveness, earthly explosiveness.
Aquarius, Pisces, Aries. It's a square. Okay. So Uranus is going to be squaring Jupiter and Saturn. That's an interesting one.
Sounds nasty.
It isn't very comfortable. So it does bring in, it does bring extreme reactions of people for sure. But also like the goal of Uranus again is to liberate. So, but if it's in a square, in a square, it's the liberation. It's like there are actions, physical actions needed for that liberation, and they need to be taken.
But
With you,
again, this is like, just to stop you for a sec, because I feel it's an important point, that if we approach Uranus as an outside planet to our system, then the goal of Uranus isn't to liberate, it's our opposition to Uranus that will liberate. It gives us the opportunity to liberate because it actually imposes something that isn't of our nature.
I think that would be a good observation to make.
Right? Like, it's not going to liberate inherently because of its influence. It gives us the opportunity to meet it, this outside energy that isn't of our, and in that meeting, we can liberate ourselves.
I think it's a very good way of looking at it. But in order for me to be 100% convinced of it, I would like to literally to now go into that year and to literally observe the material effects and the physical activities and, obviously emotional reactions of humans as well. What will start happening?
Yeah.
How it starts imposing and what it starts imposing. I think that would be an interesting, like a part 2 maybe. Uranus mixing.
Yeah.